of the corporate L&D space in BHEL, and now I do some consultancy work. Mm, and I took the last class also, the last batch in experiential learning, and uh, I'm very happy to be here with you. Uh, I don't know if someone can give me a brief background of profile of most of the participants, or what is it? Uh, I just want to know a little bit about the group that I'm going to address.
Ma'am, this is Bhumi here. We are joining from different places. It is not just the Delhi chapter. So I don't know whether we do have a list of all the participants or not. So if someone does have it, that would be we would be glad, just as you. We would be glad to know.
Uh, uh,
Yeah.
okay, so so since you are 25 of you, mm, here, if you don't mind, can you just just switch on your camera, take half a second each, and just introduce yourself and tell me the first thing that if I ask you to introduce yourself, what would you say? So you have just half a minute to do this exercise. Yes, Rupesh.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I'm a HR professional and working for a corporate for the last, you can say, 22 years. I'm interested in L&D. Hello.
I couldn't hear you properly.
Hello. Am I audible?
No need to write in your chat box. Yeah, but your voice was breaking. So can you, if you don't mind, can you once again tell me about yourself?
Yeah. I'm Rupesh Rai from Noida chapter. Hello.
Yeah, now I
From
can
Noida
hear you.
chapter. Yeah. And I'm a HR professional and I have experience of around 22 years in HR and admin domain.
Where? You're
In
a
Gurgaon.
freelancer or you're working somewhere?
Working somewhere. Working in a logistic company.
All right. Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good
Others?
afternoon. Good
Quick,
afternoon,
you have
ma'am.
to be like this.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Prateek.
Prateek Prabhakar this side, working as a training manager with the hotels. So I'm currently working with Crown Plaza Hotel, New Delhi, Rohini. Total of 12 years of experience, primarily in operations and around 6 years now in training.
Okay. If you have no internet connection problems, you can keep your mic muted and your video on. Because I like to talk to people and not blank screens. Yeah, quickly, but you have to be fast. I don't have so much time to keep waiting. Yes, Samir.
Yeah. Hi, ma'am. Yeah, my name is Samir Sahu. I am from Bhubaneswar. I am presently working as a manager placement and corporate relations at IMI Bhubaneswar.
Oh, how nice. Very nice. Yeah, welcome.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Ravinder Kaur and I'm CELTIS certified, and I've been working as an English language trainer with Hindustan Times and thereafter as a freelancer.
Okay.
Good afternoon,
Yes.
ma'am. My name is
Yeah.
Divya Singh and I'm from Delhi chapter. I am working as a training manager in one of the US healthcare companies in Gurgaon. It's been almost 5 years in training now. Earlier to that, I was working in operations department.
Okay.
Very good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, Somendra.
Yeah, very good afternoon. Very good afternoon, madam. I am Somendra Suman. I am having 17 years of experience, out of which 3 years in experience. Right now, I am working with Himalaya Baby Care as a training manager. Himalaya Baby Care as a training manager, based out of Delhi.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good
Shishir.
afternoon, madam. Yeah, good afternoon, madam. My name is Shishir Soti. I'm a sales professional with experience of more than 20 years. And now I work for a public policy advocacy company on climate change.
Oh, how nice. Yeah, wonderful.
And I'm not a
Sandhya.
HR professional.
Ah, okay.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm Sandhya from Hyderabad. I'm working for LIC as RMHRD.
Ah, very nice. I'm also born and brought up in Hyderabad. Yes, next person,
ma'am.
quickly.
Hello, ma'am. I'm
Arpita. Arpita, you're on mute. Oh, that was
yes.
Amreen. Sorry, Amreen, please go ahead.
No problem, ma'am. Hello, I'm Amreen, and I work as a freelance trainer. I've been working as a trainer for past 10 years. I basically train on soft skills and behavioral training, basically, and I have a background in aviation and hospitality.
Okay. Yes, Arpita.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. My name is Arpita Chakravarti, and I've been flying for British Airways for the last 15 years. And before that, I was with BA, but in the ground for another 10 years. And during that, I'd done a bit of training, but in the last 15 years, haven't done anything. In fact, I've received a lot of training. So I have, you can say I have no experience in training, but I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, Sakshi.
Hello, ma'am. My name is Sakshi, as you can see, and I am a psychologist by profession, and I'm entering into the training area, and I have very less of experience in training, if I say.
Okay. Who's, yes? Who?
Good afternoon, ma'am. Sorry, my webcam has got issues and also internet, heavy internet issues going on at my place. In the next video, you would be able to have a look at me. Okay, so my name is Bhumi, and I am currently a TESOL and TEFL certified English language trainer for 4 years now as a freelance trainer. Yeah. Prior to that, I do have experience in different industries. I was also an LIC network development officer before I went to US. Now this is my second innings after a gap.
Kunal.
Hi, ma'am. Very good afternoon. I've been working in training field for the past 10 years. Currently, I'm working with Housing.com as a learning and development specialist for Delhi NCR. And prior to that, I was working with multiple publication houses for the past 8-9 years.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello. Hello.
Yes. Who said hello?
Swarnima.
Huh? Swarnima. Okay. Hi, Swarnima.
Hello. Good afternoon, ma'am. I've completed my engineering this year, and I'm currently working as a trainee, graduate engineer trainee in Center for Industry 4.0. So I don't have any background in training, but yes, I'm looking forward to this.
Okay. Yeah, who is coming in next? Quickly, you have to be fast.
Hi, ma'am. I'm Gurpreet.
Yes, Gurpreet.
I have total 6 years of experience. I'm looking at the HR right now, but I don't have any experience in training, so it's new for me.
Hello.
Yes, Durga.
I am Durga. I'm sorry for my voice because I've been tested COVID positive yesterday, so I am under home isolation right now.
Oh my God, I must really congratulate you for being here in spite of that. Huh?
Yeah.
Please take care of yourself. Yes, Durga.
So I have 4 years of training experience. Initially, I was working with Bata India Limited for 2 years as a product trainer. And thereafter, I joined Rouge Footwear as a training manager Pan India. And currently also I'm on my maternity leave. So right now I'm not working.
Oh, okay.
Lots of things going on right now.
Yeah. Double take care.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah. Yes, who is in? We've not everyone's finished. Sonal is there, Akanksha, Vidyut, Manali. Or you have just logged in and pushed off.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am. I am Sonal Acharya. I have an experience of 20 years in Indian Army, and then I shifted into automobile sector, and I have primarily role in CSR and customer care department, and a little bit of HR. So I'm new to the training and development, and I'm looking forward for a lot of learning and enrichment.
Nice. Who else? Is there anyone else present? I guess, should I conclude that the rest of the people are not present?
Yes, ma'am, we can start.
Hello? I think they're not here. So,
I think it's
so thank you very much for introducing yourself, and I seem to have a fair idea that we are representing all industries virtually. We are representing all age groups, and we are representing all parts of the country by and large, north, south, east, west. So I welcome the young adults, the adults, and the middle-aged adults into this experiential learning sessions, which are also called as adult learning methods. So, why should even before I raise this question with you on experiential learning, in your own opinion, why should there be a subject like experiential learning? Why?
Ma'am, because we have been taught with the root method primarily, and we have exposed to the normal methods which focus on the lectures and all that stuff from very beginning. But if we talk about the adult learning principles, or I would say experiential learning primarily, this is something which is unique to all of us because this is something new and which we had to inculcate after, I would say, rigorous training on the opposite side of cognitive. So we have to use these methods consciously and actually involve the learners while doing so.
All right. Any other answers?
yes, ma'am. This experience learn is learning by doing actually. So I mean, learning by doing is it's on the job training or something like that. So if we learn by doing something, then it would be a experiential learning.
One more thing I would like to add, it's basically focus on the Dale's cone of learning.
It's basically focused on?
Dale's cone of learning, Edgar Dale.
Okay. Anyone else? Why should we have a session or a paper in training on experiential learning? What is its relevance and why is it so important?
Because as they say, learning never stops, and in today's times when things change so fast and rapidly, it is very important for people to continuously upgrade their skills, and which is well beyond in their in their adult livelihoods, adult lives, and thereby it becomes important important to have this, paper in place so as to equip ourselves with the skills of imparting.
Okay.
Actually, experience learning, mind and body both active actually. So learning would be more, more than cognitive kind of learning.
So, ma'am, in psychological terms, if I say, then there are two things. One is knowledge and one is experiential learning. Knowledge is just that we gain theoretically while we, just look at the things and we learn as it is. Whereas the experiential learning comes in when we practically, apply those knowledge that we have. So that is why experiential learning is important to grow.
Okay. Thank you for your answers. And before I come to this, I want to ask you that in your opinion, till what age can people learn? Can they learn till 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, or not at all after they have crossed 40? Till what age can they learn? Do we have a polling over here in this Zoom? No, this feature is not. Huh?
Feature is there. I think feature is there. Polling feature is there.
Polling feature is there. So can you just poll 40, 50, 60, 70, 80? Not at all after 40. Let's see the results.
And how can we do the polling?
Yeah, how can?
There's no option over here.
Yeah, because even I don't see it. So maybe Alok ji, can you help us? I don't think he's here at the moment.
Can we answer in the chat box itself?
Yeah, I think so. Do that. Why don't you do that? Yeah, I answer it in the chat box. Yeah, quickly. Any more responses coming? Age is no bar for learning. And the second part of the statement is more important. If anyone wants to learn, so that desire to learn is the key word. That if we don't have a desire to learn, then at any age and at any stage in our life, there can be no learning. So the question, can adults learn? Yes, they can if they want to. And when is it that adults want to learn is something we will address during the course of this session. Okay, so we'll still use the chat box. What instructional methods have you been exposed to in school? So let's start with high school. And be fast because Lecture. Experiments, case studies, lectures, projects. Demonstration, lecture, cognitive, experiential, lectures, occasionally tour, practicals. Okay. Yeah, group project. In college, what have you been exposed to? I'm asking you a different question. Yeah. Case studies, projects, internship, yes. In industries, experiments, presentations, industrial visits. IT role play. Okay. So in informal settings, what is an informal setting? On the job is a formal setting. Informal involves what? Classroom is formal, office is formal, in brainstorming, okay. Informal is like when you're in a party or when you are sitting at home over the dining table, having a chat with family, videos, self-study, yes, great, wonderful. Experience, discussion during a break, yes. Traveling, definitely. Other methods, there are still more methods of learning which you use. Think. Coaching, games, that's right. More methods. Come on. Interaction with different groups. Simulation. You don't learn from reflection, observing, modeling, and reflecting. Peer group and reflecting on yourself. Is that correct? That when you sit down quietly and you think about yourself, what did I learn today? Every day is a learning experience. Am I right? Self-introspection. Yeah, that's right. So we learn in a variety of ways. In experiential learning, we learn in a variety of ways. And if I put all this together, we would say we are learning all the time. Is that correct? What we are this moment, we were not last moment, and that we were not the moment before that, at least I hope not. Now, the next question is, in what way do you learn the best? What way do you learn the best? Sonal, I'm asking you, in what way do you learn? I'm not asking I'm not asking you a theoretical question. I'm asking you a personal question.
Okay, fine.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. I think we have a fair range of the methods by which you learn. And I personally feel like saying congratulations to this group and saying, go home and sleep because you've already learned what experiential learning is all about. Is that correct? And so that's what experiential learning is about. And which is the best method by which adults learn? I think you've already answered. And if I were to fill this, I think the maximum replies were by practice. By practice, this is what you said. The other thing you said was through failures from others. And then the others were, of course, notes, etc. But by and large, if I have to club it together, I would say this is what you said. Now, before I get into experiential learning has to do with an adult. Because an adult has gone through some experiences. If you look at little children, they have also gone through experiences, but less as compared to adults. So there is no one adult learning theory. There are several adult learning theories: andragogy, neuroscience, experiential learning, self-directed learning, transformational learning, all of which you have actually quoted in your chat box already. But all these theories have one goal. They help to create an effective learning experience for the adult learner. Why instructional designers need to know about adult learning theories? If you ask me, there should be a question even before this, that why do I need to ask you before I start my session, who are you? And where are you from? And why are you here? Why do I need to know this as a trainer? Let me hear your replies.
Ma'am, for needs analysis.
For needs analysis, okay. What else?
To understand where we are coming from, what is our past experience.
Correct.
to know a brief about the participant profiles.
No, that's what I want to know, but I'm asking why. Why do I need to know it? In experiential learning methodology.
To make
You
the
can
content
only
relatable to us.
To make, sorry?
To make the content of your training relatable to our experiences.
Correct.
Learning.
Right? Yeah, go on.
Everybody has got different learning abilities. So keeping that in mind, we can, frame or design the training.
Absolutely. Good. Well done. So adult learning theories are not just a collection of jargons, concepts, and ideas about how adults learn. These theories help you to plan your course during conception, development, and execution in a way that will facilitate the learning process, right? So to use this knowledge to know where to pitch yourself. So what is a method? So we say experiential learning method. Before that, let's answer what is a method. So method is objective oriented activities and flow of information between the teacher and the students. It's a systematic plan followed in presenting material for instruction. A way, technique, or process of or doing something. A body of skills or techniques. And according to Webster, teaching strategy is a careful plan that serves an important function in achieving a specific outcome. So, the central question of how adults learn has occupied the attention of scholars and practitioners since the founding of adult education as a professional field of practice in the 1920s. Some 80 years later, we have no single answers, no one theory or model of adult learning that explains all that we know about adult learners. The various contexts where learning takes place and the process of learning itself, because as you would see from your own replies, you found that different people learn in different ways, and that's how adults learn. And therefore, there are different kinds of learners, there are different kinds of learning methodologies. So what we do have is a mosaic of theories, models, sets of principles and explanations that compose the knowledge base of adult learning. Two important pieces of that mosaic are andragogy and self-directed learning. So the andragogy, the adult learning theory or andragogy, it became very popular in the US by the American educator Malcolm Knowles. Malcolm Shepard Knowles, 1913 to 1997, was an American educator who popularized the term, well known for the use of the term andragogy as synonymous to adult education. According to Malcolm Knowles, andragogy is the art and science of adult learning. Thus, andragogy refers to any form of adult learning. Now, Knowles collected ideas about a theory of adult education from the end of World War II, and until he was introduced to the term andragogy. In 1996, Knowles met in Boston a gentleman called Dusan Savik. I'm not very good at this pronunciation, but Savić-Ević. And Savić-Ević was one who shared the term andragogy with Knowles and explained how it was used in the European context. In 1967, Knowles made use of the term andragogy to explain his theory of adult education. It has a Greek root, and Greek root which means man. Then, after consulting with Merriam-Webster, he corrected the spelling of the term andragogy and continued to make use of the term to explain his multiple ideas about adult learning. So, here is an overview of adult learning. First thing is that it is contrasted with pedagogy. Pedagogy is the science and art of education. It is a teacher-centered method. Andragogy, teaching strategies are focused on adults, and it is a learning-centered method. So young learners learn in a linear manner. They're dependent on the instructor for knowledge because they do not have prior knowledge, and they are motivated mostly, I won't say everybody, by external pressure, because I believe that it depends on the interest of the student. If they are interested in a subject, then they need no external pressure. It's only in subjects where they are not interested that they need external pressure to study. Adult learnings want to decide what topics to focus on. They bring their experiential knowledge into a learning environment. They will self-assess if given the proper tools. Then, the difference between the learner. In pedagogy, the learner is dependent upon the instructor for all the learning. The teacher-instructor assumes full responsibility for what is taught and how it is learned. The teacher-instructor evaluates the learning. Whereas in andragogical methods, the learner is self-directed, the learner is responsible for their own learning, and self-evaluation is a characteristic of this approach. What is the role of the learner's experience? And that is why you see, when I was in BHEL, I was working in BHEL, and that's where I retired from. So when I was working in BHEL, earlier our department used to be called Training and Development. And then we had a great debate, and we changed it to Learning and Development, because we said that the moment you say training, it puts the emphasis on the teacher. The moment you say learning, it puts the emphasis on the learner. And adults need, because of this principle, they need to be taking onus of responsibility for their own learning purpose. So in pedagogy, the learner comes to the activity with little experience that could be tapped as a resource for learning. But in andragogy, the learner brings a greater volume and quality of experience, as you saw when you were listening to the members of your own group. What a variety of experience people had, both in terms of knowledge, in terms of where they have worked, in terms of what they can contribute to enrich the learning base of each other. Adults are a rich resource for one another, and different experiences assure diversity in groups of adults, and experience becomes the source of self-identity. If you see, I only asked you to introduce yourself. You recall my question? And all of you spoke of what experience you have. And this was your top of the hat identity, including me. What did I say? I told you I retired from BHEL. So your experience becomes the source of self-identity. But for the child, the experience of the instructor is most influential. And if I ask you to recall, who was the teacher who shaped your life in school, in college? Who was the teacher whom you loved, whom you're scared of, whom you are terrified of? Then I think each one of you will be able to tell me very fast. Now, in pedagogy, students are told what they have to learn in order to advance to the next level of mastery. I would say, even in skill training, in skills which you do not know, or there also the same methodology needs to be used. But in andragogy, any change is likely to trigger a readiness to learn, the need to know in order to perform more effectively in some aspect of one's life, and the ability to assess gaps between where one is now and when one wants and needs to be. So, what is the orientation to learning? In pedagogical style, learning is a process of acquiring prescribed subject matter. Content units are sequenced according to the logic of the subject. In andragogy, the learner wants to perform a task. All of you said practical. I don't think there was a single person who did not say practical. They want to perform the task, they solve a problem, live in a more satisfying way. Learning must have relevance to real life tasks. If it's not going to serve them in any way in enhancing their work or the task at hand, the adult learner will discard it as, good to know, but not necessary for me. Learning is organized around life, work situations, rather than subject matter or units. And the last thing we need to know is motivation to learn. For andragogy, it is internal motivation, self-esteem, recognition, better quality of life, self-confidence, self-actualization. So as an adult, we would always, feel very hesitant or embarrassed, even in our places of work, if we are given a job and we don't know how to do it. And I think that many times we would be hesitant to say to the boss, well, I don't know how to do it. We'd say yes, and we'll come, and then we will source other people from whom we would like to learn how to do the task. Whereas children very innocently will say, okay, so what is this? They'll ask you a whole lot of questions which irritate you. So the adult learning principles that derive out of all this knowledge is that adults need to understand how information will impact the current or their future situation. Adults can identify their learning needs. Adults are responsible for their own learning. Adults appreciate informal, non-threatening learning environment. Adults may have negative experiences related to goals, situations, and they use it for learning. Somebody wrote in the group also that, from failures, learning from failures. Adults have a clear understanding of what is expected of them. Adults retain information when practice and application is available shortly after information is acquired. Adults want specific feedback on their understanding performance. Adults may have short attention, retention, ability to or information overload. That's why you said that we need to keep involving them in activities. So they learn best at their own pace, and they learn through multiple senses, which you have also pointed out, through reading, through hearing, through seeing and hearing, through saying, through see, hear, read, do, and say. So not just one method of learning. So when you design your classes, you have to keep all these points in mind. Adults maintain interest and retain information better when learning with a variety of teaching and learning methods. So this is based on the work of Malcolm Knowles, what I have shared with you so far. So let me summarize what I've said. They are autonomous and self-directed. Life's experience and knowledge is important. It is goal-oriented, relevancy-oriented. It is practical, and you have to give respect to the knowledge and of the adult. You cannot use a one-way method with adults or deny them their language. I'm not going to do this because I've already done all this with you. So what? So why did I go through adult learning before coming to experiential learning? How do these change our practice and transform the lives and communities in which we work? So adult learning means that it's not theoretical. It has to get translated into change in the way that we work, in the way that we interact with others, in the way that we contribute to the organization, family, and community. So what is the cycle of learning? The cycle of learning, I want to tell you two things over here, actually. That's why you see the hesitation in me. That one thing about adults is that theoretically we know that every day is a learning day. Every activity is a learning activity. And yet at the same time, when as an adult, we are thrown into a new experience, or someone tells us that, why don't you involve so-and-so in this task? Because they have a lot of experience. There is something which happens inside ourselves. And that something that happens is that it touches our ego. Because as we grow up, we think we know it all. Somewhere we have also closed our minds to learning. You know, I know it. I mean, what are you going to tell me? I'm already 62. At this age, you're going to, मैंने अपने बाल ऐसे ही धूप में सफेद किए हैं. Have I made my hair white just like that? You're telling me yesterday's sun. So all that, what we say, actually comes in number 1 of this diagram. That is unconscious incompetence. That I'm incompetent in a particular area, but I'm unconscious of it. So experience of life, it brings us to consciousness. If I'm not making sense to you, ask me. So it brings to our consciousness that, yeah, I don't know how to do this. And then I have to get into training or into a learning experience where I develop conscious competence. And I keep practicing it so much that it again goes back into unconscious competence. So if I take an example for you, it's like driving. You know, when you change once you have learned how to drive skillfully, and somebody who is a new learner is sitting next to you and asking you, why did you press the brake? Why did you change the gear? Why did you slow the speed? It is so unconsciously, mechanically, by reflex action, you do it that you'll have to say, oh, did I? Did I really change the gear? Well, I don't know. I never thought about it. So learning has to become so ingrained that it becomes a habit. And that's what I think one of you said, that rote learning, that children's learning is rote learning, that it becomes so ingrained. So you say 2 1s are 2, 2 2s are 4, 2 3s are 6, 2 4s are 8. You don't have to think about it. So that becomes your unconscious competence. So the stages of learning always follow these 4 for an adult in particular. Because what happens is that at a theoretical level, I may know that I need to learn a lot, but at a practical level, I think I know it all. And that is why whenever I have to learn something new, there is an inner struggle which goes on inside me. If someone says, you don't know, my ego gets hurt. And, you know, so on and so forth. So this is something we need to be aware of. I've already explained this to you, so I'm not going to go into the details. So what are the basic styles of learning? You have already spoken about it: visual, or auditory, and kinesthetic. When I asked you the question that what is the best way in which you learn, I think all of you brought out these 3 styles. You said by seeing and reading, by listening and speaking, by touching and doing. So we need to see that who is your learner. If your learners are visual learners, then show them video clips, photographs, whiteboards, colorful PPT. Let the trainee take notes. Let the trainee make charts, formulate actually it should be, make visual presentations, creative works and art, because they learn visually. If they are auditory, then you give them lectures, ask them to read out aloud, let them sing a song on the subject, involve them in discussions, study groups, let them make up and repeat rhymes to remember dates, facts, names, and etc. And if they are kinesthetic, then of course you know that you have to involve them in action, which can be giving them simulation activities, exercises, case studies, role plays, structured experiences, letting them have hands-on. And this was the reason why initially I asked you that what is the best method in which you learn? Because I showed you also, okay, I'll come to that little later. I'll come to that at the end of the session. Now, Rolf Linton said that to assume that teaching and learning are related simply as cause and effect has a basic defect. It equates the trainer's point of view from which he teaches with the participant's point of view from which he learns. And therefore, it is important that we use the David Kolb's model of experiential learning, where you're trying to, you're tying reality to create meaning. So experiential learning theory. So can somebody read out what is written on this slide in the group? Anybody? Or can you not see it?
Okay, so I'll just read it out. So it's written, as human beings, we are shaped by our experiences. For adults, no amount of textbook learning can take the place of knowledge, clarity, and wisdom that come from experience. The essential of adult learning is making sense of experiences. Adults learn best when they learn by doing. They learn best when they are directly involved with experiencing the learning instead of memorizing numbers and definitions from book.
Very good. Thank you so much. So this gives us a cycle. What is the cycle? As a trainer, I will first put you into an activity. I'll design an activity with you. I have 7 classes, so I will, class to class, I will take you through this cycle. Then I ask you to reflect. So what did you learn from this activity? And then what is the theory behind it? And what are you going to apply and do differently next time? So this is the meaning of the experiential learning cycle. Now, what happens is that everybody does not go through the cycle. You don't go through the cycle. If you see, you come across many people who keep making the same mistake over and over again. And that's very frustrating. And I also, as a person, I make the same mistake over and over again. When is it that we make the same mistake over and over again? In your opinion, what would you like to say? You can unmute, speak, and then remute yourself. Why do we repeat the same mistake again and again? If somebody is speaking, I can't hear them. Ravinder?
Ma'am, there's some, I think, internet connection problem. I was just about to say that, yes, the learners make mistakes because they do not understand what they're supposed to do. That's why there is no clarity in their mind. That's why they keep committing the same mistake.
Okay, so they don't reflect on their experience, is it?
Yes,
Is that
yes,
what you're...
yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. That was Ravinder, is it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, Ravinder. And yeah, anybody else? Why do people keep making the same mistake again and again?
Ma'am, sometimes unconsciously they do the mistake and then realize, how could I do this mistake?
Okay, that is
They
the
feel
first
sorry.
time.
Sometimes we are unaware.
Huh?
Most of the times we are unaware. I mean, when we are unaware of what kind of mistakes we make, there is a tendency to repeat. Obviously, because we are unaware.
Ma'am, one thing is being unaware, and secondly, they don't learn from their previous mistake.
From their experience.
Yes.
Yeah. So why do they not learn from their experience? Why do people not learn from their
As you
experience?
said,
Ma'am, because they don't conceptualize, they don't reflect on why this happened.
Kajal, yeah.
Yes.
That's right. And why do they not do that? That is because people have different learning styles. Huh? So activist is the person who will try anything once. The observer is a person who says, who will observe. You remember in the beginning, what did you write? You said that I observe, I learn from others by observing them. And the theorists, what did they say? That it worked well before it will work again. Now, if your learning style is focused on the theories, that it worked well before, so it will work again. Tell me, what is the danger of this? Let's discuss one by one. So what is the danger in being stuck on this quadrant? Come on, you know the answer.
Yes, ma'am. because time never remains the same. It changes constantly. So according to the time, I mean, we need to change. Many theories which were in practice previously may not apply now. They might have become obsolete.
Give some examples, Bhumi.
Yes.
Come on,
To
pandemic.
say, for example, pandemic. Yes, before pandemic, most of the people were not, well versed with this digital learning things. Now, if you see, there is a whole shift in the learning criterion. I mean, so people now are more focused on digital learning than bookish sort of ways or the conventional methods. Now, the unconventional methods are, more people are more prone to that.
Good.
We prefer that.
Right. So life is changing and we say we live in a VUCA world, right? So what might have worked at one point in time does not work anymore, at all. And especially there's so many papers now coming on the future of work, future forward of work, and future of work, right? All right. So the experimenter says there is always a better way of doing something. Let us try this. Now, if you are stuck in this quadrant of being an experimenter, what is going to happen? What are the pros and what are the cons? What are the pros and cons? If you have not gone through the cycle, but you have a preferential style of being an experimenter, what are the pros and cons? Let's hear some voices who have been quiet so far. Bhumi, can't hear you.
Ma'am, can I speak?
Yes,
Hello?
who is this? Who is
Ma'am,
this?
whosoever is speaking is not audible.
Yeah, Bhumi, who is speaking?
Ma'am, I want to speak.
Ma'am,
Can
it
you
was.
speak? Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, Sakshi.
Okay, so I was saying that the cons would be that they will always have doubts. It's a doubtful personality.
Okay, that's one thing. What else happens with experimentation? If you're constantly experimenting, what happens?
It will be time consuming too.
Okay, and
Ma'am, the pros can be you get to know more, new methods, or you can think out of the box. That is, there's critical and analytical thinking that comes into effect when you are an experimenter, when your style of learning is this. The cons are already discussed, but one of the cons is you cannot experiment every single thing, because when you keep on, sometimes whenever you know that doing this, experimenting this is dangerous enough or not profitable enough, and you cannot delve into that, so it's not always the possible preferable time.
standardization. There's no standardization of the product, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Standardization doesn't happen. Okay. Now, what is the danger of being stuck in the quadrant of being an observer?
Ma'am, you can't do something of your own. It means that you always copying what others have been doing.
Elaborate.
Ma'am, in the sense, like if somebody is an experimenter and you are an observer, so you tend to learn that what that person has always been doing in so and so situation, and your mind does not move out of that. Like you always know that, okay, if something happens, I'm going to do this. You don't have a thinking and ability of your own.
You keep sitting and observing.
Yeah.
Ma'am, an observer might also have low self-confidence.
Yes, agreed. Agreed.
Ma'am, I
And
think
they
there
may be
are
so
again
busy.
pros and cons in this also. Like the con would be that they always want to be in the safest place and they don't want to commit any mistake. And this is again the pros also, that they don't want to do any action till the time they are not sure about it.
And sometimes they may not get into action only. They are
Yeah,
so
so
busy
that's the
observing
con.
कि train ही निकल गई.
So that's the one thing which can be turned
But
into pro and cons both.
all right. An activist. What are the pros and cons of an activist? सारे नंबर जो बोल रहे हैं वो लिए चले जा रहे हैं 100 on 100, और जो नहीं बोल रहा है उसको 0 out of 100 मिल रहा है. चलो. And what are the pros and cons of an activist?
Now, an activist
Look
is
at the cycle and tell me.
So the activist would be,
See,
the con of the activist is that many times they jump before thinking. So, they would tend to make mistakes, make errors, acting before thinking.
yeah, and over again they will make the same mistakes.
Mistake over and
Why?
over yes.
Because they have not observed what they have done, reflected
Yes.
over what they have done,
Yes.
made a theory of it, and then made a decision plan.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that is why it is called an experiential learning cycle. And a cycle, going through the entire cycle, is important, and not getting stuck on our preferred learning style, which was the question which I asked you right in the beginning, right? So David called these styles as concrete experience, critical reflection, reflexive observation, abstract conceptualization or generalization, and action or active experimentation. So concrete experience, can someone read it out for me? What is written over here?
May I, ma'am?
Yes,
I cannot
anybody.
see that slide. Sorry, I cannot see that slide. I mean, it's not visible on my screen. I don't know why.
Okay, so on whoever screen it's visible, please read.
Okay, ma'am. I would continue. Concrete experience. Adults learn best when the learning experience goes beyond the talk and talk routine. Kinesthetic learning, or learning by encouraging physical actions, that is simulation, and learning that evokes strong emotional responses, that is realistic scenarios that reveal cause-effect relationships, create powerful experiences that are not forgotten easily.
Thank you. Reflective observation. Can someone else read this?
Yeah, ma'am, I'll read that. Adults need to engage with and reflect on their experiences to glean insights and acquire knowledge. So it is critical to not only create opportunities for experience-based learning, but also provide time and space to encourage reflection. Create opportunities for watching the action unfold before the eyes, that is demonstrations, and analyzing process and procedures, that is scenario-driven activities, case studies.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And someone else, active experimentation.
Ma'am, I'll read out. Role-playing activities, internships, and other hands-on tasks let learners apply the learning and thus truly learning by doing. Active experimentation leads to concrete experiences, and the cycle of experiential learning resumes.
Okay. So if you look at the first question which I had asked, and it was written in the chat box, okay, whoever wrote, the majority people who wrote, and if I were to ask you a question, that in this group, what is the preferred learning style? Where would you put it? Just analyze. There were about 10 people who wrote. So what was the maximum number of what people wrote?
Practice.
Correct. They wrote practice. So where do they fall? Hands-on task. Come on, it's displayed for you.
Yeah, hands-on
Is that
task.
correct?
Hands-on task.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we come to, that's how you look at that data. You know, I never asked you those questions just foolishly. You know? They were all well thought out questions. So it is telling you about your learner. It is telling you, why am I asking you to read? I can read it myself. Because I know that this group will go to sleep in 2 minutes. Because they all want hands-on. Right? Okay. Now, so therefore, once you know the group, once you know the methodology, once you know what is the style by which your learners learn, then how to facilitate is an art. So what is facilitation? What does the word facilitation mean? Facilitation means to make it easy. Easy for your learner to learn. And this is like fishing. Why is it like fishing? Because you have to use different lures for different fish. That means you have to use different methods for different learners. So therefore, as a facilitator of adult learning, you cannot say to the group that this group is an idiot. You see, what happens when children drop out of school? Because you have only one method of learning, you don't cater to the different
styles in which people learn, and then we blame the student and not the teacher, right? Because the teacher only has his or her preferred method of teaching, and they are least bothered about how the student learns best, right? So when you look at a facilitator, who is a facilitator? First, he's an environment designer, he's a friend, he or she is a guide by the side, asking more than answering, listening more than talking, and helping people to discover. All right. So now let's look at these training methodologies. Lecture explaining. Which one of this is teacher centered and which one is learner centered teaching methodology? Lecture explaining. Which one is it? Quick.
Teacher centered.
This is rapid. Resource people.
Learner centered.
Case study.
Learner centered.
Group discussion.
Learner.
Learner centered.
Brainstorming.
Learner.
Learner centered.
Field trip.
Learner.
Learner centered.
Good. Now, the point is, how do you choose a methodology? So, what do you have to ask yourself? You have to ask yourself, what is the purpose? What is your purpose? Is your purpose to show off your knowledge, or is your purpose to enhance the knowledge of your participants? Then you need to ask yourself how, and you need to ask yourself, what result do I want at the end of my session? So 4 quick guides to understanding online adult learners. Adults bring experience into training, allow them to use it. How will you allow them to use it? By raising questions, by asking them, and you have to think of your questions. What questions are you going to ask? That's very important. Plato's style, Socrates style, right? Allow adult learners to make their own meaning. Don't question their meaning. Accept, be warm, and say all are right. Adult learners want to have fun. Learning occurs when behavior changes. Otherwise, it is theoretical learning. Do you have any questions? We still have time. So do you have any questions? Yes, we have 4 minutes. We have 14 minutes. Of course, this is the end of my presentation, and I hope this is not how you are, like in the cartoon, and you are still alive enough to have any questions or share anything that you want to share.
Ma'am, what is your opinion on unlearning?
Sorry, you have to be loud.
Ma'am, what is your opinion on unlearning?
Who's asking me this question?
Ma'am, Sakshi.
Sakshi, unlearning.
Yes, ma'am.
Unlearning is that whatever I have learned, so, okay, let me give you my own example. So, for instance, you see, I have about 33 years of experience of having worked in Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited. I was heading the corporate L&D space over there, and I gave a lot of direction during my part to what kind of training needs to take place. So obviously, unconsciously inside me, what started coming in was that I know, right? Till I had these youngsters, who started working with me in the last 7 or 8 years of my innings. And one day this youngster said to me, ma'am, and very rudely, ma'am, even before anybody can say anything you say, I have an idea. And that way I'm intelligent enough. So I understood what effect it was having on them. And I immediately had to step back and tell myself, every time I would ask a question, or if anybody would ask a question before anybody would say anything, I would say, I have an idea. Now, what would happen was that because these children were much younger, they were all like maybe 30, 32, 33, and they would all keep quiet because ma'am has an idea. And till one day, one of them burst on me and said, before we can say anything, you say, I have an idea. And then I learned, shut up. The world has changed, Rekha. These are youngsters, so you learn from them. So I had to unlearn my behavior of, I have an idea. And I had to tell myself, no, there are more ideas. First, listen to them and then integrate whatever they are saying and then give it a final shape. Or like, the new places where I work. So they will tell me, so initially I used to feel कि अरे इतने सालों के बाद इनको अभी भी लग रहा है. But, because of I have an idea experience, I know that, I have to become humble and I have to learn, I have to relearn, I have to learn from others. I have to keep reminding myself. So there are many habits which I have to unlearn, like for instance, which are not good for me, like for instance, I don't like I'm very lazy about brushing at night. So I have to unlearn the habit of not brushing at night and force myself to do it till it becomes a habit. So like that, there are mental and physical um, habits, and I'm sure each one of us has habits which are not good for us or good for us, which we know intellectually, but we don't do. And we have to unlearn all that and expand our lives, to integrate new habits. Or this 7 years of practice towards the end of my career, I can very happily say that I have lots and lots and lots to learn. And I'm in the process of reverse mentoring. And now I learn from these youngsters. Like, for instance, I always grew up doing my work alone. I never had assistance other than a typist. And suddenly, as I grew in my career, I had 8 people, 10 people, 20 people, 25 people, 30 people reporting to me. And I was used to doing my work myself. And I used to think to myself कि ये साला कहाँ का स्यापा आ गया यार कि 30 तरह के लोग हैं, सबकी अपनी अपनी, ये इससे तो अच्छा ही मैं ही कर लेती थी पहले. So I had to unlearn that, and I had to learn to appreciate the qualities, the uniqueness of each person, and learn to spot talent and to use the right people for the right kind of jobs. So there are both good and bad things to learn and unlearn. That's how I would put it. Sakshi asked the question. Yeah, very hard. But now, of course, I would say it has gone into unconscious competent, because I've just learned that you learn and you learn morning, afternoon, evening. You're just learning, learning, and learning. Life is for learning. Everything is for learning. You know? So,
change of mindset.
I can't hear you.
Can we say it like change of mindset?
Sorry?
Change of mindset. Can we
Yeah,
say
it's a change of mindset. Of course, a change of mindset. Huge change of mindset. It requires, I would say that it is like self-confidence with humility. That's the way I would like to put it. It's not that I put myself down also, but at the same time, I also tell myself that learning never stops. What you wrote in the beginning, if one wants to learn. Yeah, adult learning is about changing yourself as a person. And I showed you in one of the slides over there that learning has not happened in adult learning unless it gets reflected in change in behavior, which means what you say and what you do. Is that okay? Does that pretty much answer your questions? Okay, so what have you learned in this session? I want you to quickly tell me, what have you learned in this session? 1, 1, 2, 2, any lines that you want to say, you want to type, that's also okay for me. Quickly, one thing which you have learned. You can type it in the chat box. Yeah, thank you. Let's listen to more people. Adult learning overview, okay. I need everybody's answer on this. I want to see 25. Yeah, more answers. Okay, thank you. So how do you feel? You have spent an hour and a half with me. How do you feel? Sad, mad, bad, glad. There are 4 basic emotions. So sad, mad, bad, glad. How do you feel? Okay, that's encouraging. So I just summarize for you that adults are like this who always say that I'm being educated against my will, my rights are being trampled upon. So therefore, please teach adults on their own terms, training with adult principles in mind. Adult education is more effective when it is experience-centered, related to learners' real needs, and directed by learners themselves. So thank you very much for your participation, your attention, your encouraging me by saying that you're at the end of the session, and by sharing your learnings with me. And I look forward to being with you again. I think we will be together next Saturday, and we will take this journey forward of experiential learning. Thank you to all of you. What a wonderful group I spoke to today. I'm feeling so enriched, so enriched. And please remember that in an experiential learning session, you have to participate. You have to participate actively, or you will be on the chat box, you will be having to work in groups, you will have to talk, you will, so you can't afford to not bring in your own experiences. Otherwise, it will become a lecture method and not an experiential sharing. Not an experiential learning session. Is that okay? So thank you very much and stay safe, and Durga, get well soon. And I wish you all the very best. COVID is not over, so take care of yourselves, and I think I'll see you before Diwali, so I'll wish you at that time. So bye-bye.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Is that okay? Can we leave the meeting?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Alok?